Um, can you tell me a little bit about what aspects of the Black German community or communities have you explored, or were you able to explore in that short amount of time that you were here? I mean, you came in November to scout out things and to meet people and set up dates and such, but then your actual teaching time when
Mhm.
you were here in May, from May, end of May to mid-June, I know it was a short amount of time, but what aspects of the Black community were you able to have a look at while you were here?
I'll say, throughout our time, we would have sessions with people, and students would be interested in, and I was interested in hearing people talk about what it was like to grow up, Black in Germany and, including Berlin. Because the students had read Ika's book, they
Mm-hmm.
read Farbe Bekennen, they'd shown our colors, they'd read as much as I could possibly find in terms of narrative and scholarship. And so they were really, they had a strong desire to hear more about that, and so did I. And so, they would often ask, well, what's it like now, for children to grow up? And a lot of people talked about the ESD and how that network provides a space for Black children to, fellowship and play together and see one another. And people kept mentioning ELTO, each one teach one, ELTO, each one teach one. And I kept saying yes, because I'm so glad to hear people mention this, because we're going to meet with Daniel, who works at ELTO, soon. And so we went to ELTO, and it's just a very powerful and important project for an NGO to work on improving the life of Black German kids. I told Daniel that I was going to send him a ton of books with Black children in it, so that the children can see these books, because that meant a lot to me, as I didn't have that when I was little, but my kids did. And it means a lot to see yourself in spaces like, books, where, we associate so much about reading with intelligence, and, to see yourself in that space, to see your
Also, positive spaces or positive images.
right, what I mean? A space where your stories are being told. Toni Morrison says, if you don't see, yourself in a space, write it in. Audre Lorde was of the same philosophy, write it. So to see that being written is important. So that part of the Black German community was powerful for me, to have so many people recommend that, and to know that I had, because of my connection with Sharon O'Toole, who used to be really involved with EOTO. Because of her, I connected with Daniel, and Daniel was gracious enough to meet with the students. And so it was just nice when people would say, meet with them, and I could say, we are. And to have people like you, or Katarina Oguntoye, say things like, you connected with everybody. Like, there's a couple people that I think you need to connect with next time. But I was glad to hear people recommend each other to me. You know what I mean? Because it just showed that, everybody doesn't have to get along. Everybody doesn't have to be best friends, but to recognize and respect each other's work enough to say, Heidi, you should connect with, did you talk to Joliba? Did you get with the DIFRA? Did you, it was really good. So that, I'm, Black Women's Networks, DIFRA, I met, we talked to you, so we got to go to Birkenwerder and do that train ride and hear you speak about your work. We did as much as I wrote a blog about it, the end of the trip. I said my normal classes are about 58 hours. This one was about 62. Like, I tried to pack so much stuff in, because, and that's telling that I was able to do so much. So it's happening. You can't do everything in Berlin. If you went to every event in Berlin that was about racism or sexism or post-colonial, that's all you would do all day, is go to an event. And that was because, even though the number of Black folks is smaller than it is here, they're doing way more than we are here, like in the Colorado Springs, I'm saying. And that's an indictment to me. I mean, they're doing it all. I mean, they're talking about everything. They're bringing up everything. So so as far as the Black German community, I was happy to see that they were interconnected. Everybody knew each other. And we're so willing to share with me, you know, like, oh, you should talk to this person, you should talk to that person. You might not have had them for your class, but let's have dinner so that next time Kwesi can, you know, speak with the students. We did the tour with Josie Apraku, the African vetting, and everybody was telling me, you got to do that tour. And I'm like, we did that tour, you know. So it was good to be able to say, wow, I'm hitting what I need to be hitting for the students and for myself, but also for people to say, hey, don't worry, you didn't get in touch with this person this time. I'm gonna email, you know, the person with you, and then you all connect, and next time. So I see a lot of interconnectedness that I really appreciate.
That's great. That's great.